Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ohio State Primetime here at the Voice of College Football. I'm your host, Garrison Gaddy. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Be sure to hit that YouTube link and share it on all your socials if possible, if you can, to make sure that the show gets out there and everyone else can come here and join the community with yourself and I. Also, if you haven't already, you would like to become a member here at Ohio State, the Voice of College Football, please hit that join button where you can see our three tiers there being the Block O Club. JT wasn't short because we all know he wasn't, and we don't give a damn, and you know the rest. Also, if you haven't, be sure to check out our website, www.vocfb.com, where you can check out the latest of all the reports that our writers, our awesome writers, have here at the Voice of College Football. Also, check out the schedule of the channels that we have here, including Oklahoma, North Carolina, Team Up, North Texas, and of course, Ohio State, the Voice of College Football. Now, everyone. Oh, also, if you do miss the show, everybody, be sure to check out we are on all audio platforms, that being Amazon, Spotify, and Apple. Now, let's get to the news. Well, everybody, this is something we've all been looking forward to. Listen, Ryan Day doesn't name quarterbacks until about a week or so before the season really starts, right? Or 2 weeks now, or just less than 2 weeks now that we are from the Texas game, which we'll talk about here shortly. But Julian Sand, it kind of broke a few days prior to today, but he was named officially by Ryan Day as the quarterback of the 2025 Ohio State Buckeyes team. He had a lot of good things to say about him as expected, but long time coming here, and he said that when he really found out that he was going to name Julian the quarterback, it was when he saw the confidence that he had in the room, saw the confidence that he had in the huddle with the rest of his teammates, how he commanded the huddle, and also there was a time when he was getting pressure during practices, and he was able to take it, and he made the right choices. You talked about how some guys they see pressure. Sometimes they maybe take a sack. They'll make an errant throw. They'll turn the ball over. But that's not what Julian did. He made the correct plays, whether that be finding his tight ends, hitting the check down to the running backs, just getting the ball out to the wide receivers out of bounds. So not surprised by that, honestly. Julian Sand, coming out of high school, we all knew he was going to be a really good quarterback. We knew he was a smart quarterback, or hyper accurate quarterback with a really good and fast release. But yeah, I think at this point now we should be asking what are the expectations for Julian Sand going into this season. Now, if you look at the last few years, going back, you got Will Howard. Will Howard's stats, because of the playoffs, they got bolstered a little bit more. He played great in the playoffs, and that's what happened and all. But he did throw around 73% last season. Season prior to that, Kyle McCord was somewhere around the 66 range, but had he had a lot of touchdowns that he threw in the first 12 games of the season. And then you have guys like C.J. Stroud, who threw 40 touchdowns. You have guys like JT Barrett, who had his most prolific season in his year with Ryan Day when his last senior year. You look at Dwayne Haskins, the 50 touchdowns that he threw. Justin Fields, in the first 12 games of the year, threw 40 touchdowns to 1 interception. I still believe that to be the most impressive thing that Ohio State quarterback has done in its history. But if you ask me personally, what do I think are the expectations for Julian Sand this year? I think we should, and I'm basing this off of the first 12 games of the regular season. I think we should be looking somewhere around the, I would say the 30 to 35 touchdown range. Now, do I think there's if he hits his ceiling, do I think there's a chance that he could possibly hit 40 touchdowns this year? Yes, there's a really good chance of it. I mean, Justin Fields did it in 2019. In all reality, Justin Fields didn't have the wide receiver unit that Julian Sand's about to go into this season. So I think there's a good chance that he could hit that, but I'm not going to go out the ledge and say that, even though I really want to. I think somewhere around 37 to 4,000 yards. Again, 4,000 being on the high end. Last time I got to that from 12 games, that would have been C.J. Stroud. So I think Julian Sand has the talent and the guys around him to do that. The question is now, when it comes to Brian Hartline, how is he going to call games? How is he going to game plan for him? And all those factors also go into there. But again, I'm really excited for Julian. And I really want to know what you guys think about Julian. So, what are your expectations for him this season? A lot of people, and I want to point this out because there's a lot of Texas fans, and they're cashing checks that I don't know if they're asking them to be able to cash, or they're writing checks. I don't know if they're asking me check or be a cash. Collins, or Simmons Hill, their defensive end. He goes out there. He on his Instagram story posts a picture of Julian Sand. Listen, if you're gonna go out and do that, you better be able to back that shit up. You better be able to do that because at the end of the day, Ohio State, I think, is going to this game with more talent than Texas. I think Ohio State has the higher end talent than Texas, more depth than Texas. I think we have the better head coach when it comes to comparing Steve Sarkisian and Ryan Day. And I do believe Sark to be one of the best coaches in college football. I think he's right there with Ryan Day as one of the best offensive play. Ryan Day isn't a play caller anymore for Ohio State, but when it comes just to offensive minds, I think Sark is right there with Ryan Day. But listen, man, I've a lot of guys have gone on their way to talk, basically just talk shit about Julian Sand, and I'm not sure why they call him small when in all reality he's 6'1", 210 pounds. He's a big. I mean, I'm not saying he's Bryce Young, but he's a bigger quarterback than Bryce Young was. Also, I think that if Julian Sand, if Nick Saban had never left Alabama, and Julian Sand was, and he would still be Alabama if that was the case. I don't think anyone would be so be easy about the way they talk about him. I think that he would have insane hype. Insane hype. I think if Julian Sand was over there, they would talk about him the way they talk about Arch Manning. I really believe that. A lot of people keep forgetting, coming out of high school, Julian Sand was right there with DJ Lagway and Dylan Raiola, who I believe to be two of the most talented quarterbacks in college football, especially at their age. They're both going to be sophomores this year. Of course, Dylan Raiola started last year as a true freshman, and I think most of the games last year DJ Lagway did for Florida. So yeah, it's really beyond me on why Julian Sand hasn't gotten this hype, and maybe that's because he was in a quarterback battle. And let's get to that real quick. Ryan Day said that we're going to need both of these quarterbacks, and I am of that mindset also. I do believe that Lincoln Kienholz will have some say in how Ohio State is played this season. I do think they're going to have practice for him, as Ryan Day said today. And I will say this: one of the good things that come out of this about Julian Sand being the quarterback is that with Lincoln Kienholz being the backup, you still have a reason to bring him in the game because he brings something to the team into the game that Julian Sand doesn't. It's not to say that Julian Sand can't move around. I mean, he had like about a 20-yard rush last year on a scramble. So he's I don't know why everybody thinks he's not mobile, but he definitely is. But yeah, but I think that if you start Lincoln, there is no reason to play Julian. Whereas if you start Julian, you have a reason to bring Lincoln to the game. So I do think that that there is the positive in that. Ryan, they said what are the expectations for for Julian Sand, and Ryan Day made it simple. He said just win, baby, win. That's all he needs out of his quarterback, and I think I think Ryan Day, what he's noticed from the last two seasons with Cal McCord and with Will Howard is that he doesn't need that high level quarterback play at Ohio State. You had it with JT. Well, I want to say JT Barrett was a high level quarterback, but JT was a vet. He knew he could trust him. But then you have Dwayne Haskins, very insanely talented guy. Then you go to Justin Fields, insanely talented. Then you go to CJ Stroud, who I believe to be the best quarterback to ever come out of Ohio State. I think a lot of Ohio State fans would agree with that. But I think over the last two seasons, you still go 11-1 with Cal McCord. You're basically you're a game away from going to the Big Ten championship. Then you have last year Will Howard, where it's arguably Will Howard is the least talented quarterback that Ryan Day has had so far. But he won the national championship with them. And I think that Ryan Day over these past few years, he's still growing as a head coach, and now I think he's hitting his stride. he's finally seen that. Like I'm at Ohio State. I got to remember that I have all the talent in the world. Maybe up to 2 teams per year have more talent than I do, or at least have the same talent that I do. I don't need my quarterback to go out there and be a CJ Stroud. I don't need him to go out there and be a Justin Fields. Now, don't get him twisted. Like if Ryan Day has that, he'll be completely happy as much as we would too. But I think when you hear just win, baby, that's all we really need. That's all we really need. Ryan Day said, I don't care if it's by 10 or by 1, just win. I think that's what's mostly important. Some more stuff, like getting on with the quarterback talk there. And by the way, just want to say what's up to everybody. Rod Farva says, "Hey, all, what's going on, Rod? Good to see you in here." Aaron says, "What's up, Buckeye family?" Aaron, was good to see you. And by the way, Aaron, hey, you're right, bro. We are CJ Donaldson days away. You are not wrong about that. Jam, see what's going on. Says, "Hi, Garrison. Hi to you too, Jam. Good to see you in here." Kevin, my guy, what's up, man? Good to see you in here also. John Johnson, go Bucks, beat Texas. You already know what it is. Horns down. I really wish there was a horns down emoji. That would make me completely happy. Matter of fact, if someone could just make one, or just hack Apple in some type of way, or whatever you use, Android, that'd be really nice. Yeah, we definitely need one of those. But Richie, what's going on, man? What's going on? Hey, Girls Jam, what's going on, bro? Good to see you, man. No, most definitely. Buckeye Shaw, my boy, what's going on? Just got home from work. Garrison talked about our freak of nature linebackers. It always gets me pumped up. No, we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about the team today. And actually, later in the show, I'm giving my preseason Buckeye awards. We'll definitely be talking about some of the linebackers here today. But again, everybody, if you haven't already, please hit the like button on your way in. Again, whether it be super chats or anything, if you want to be a member, that's awesome. But the only thing we ask for monetarily here is that you hit that like button, you subscribe, and that you share the show with everybody else if you can. That's all we ask for here at the Voice College Football. But let's move on here. Ryan Day, he said right now, like something that caught my eye, or not my eye, but my ears. He said he's comfortable with five tight ends right now. So it's the deepest tight end room that we've had at Ohio State. And if to be completely honest with you, not just in his tenure, I think this is the deepest tight end room Ohio State's ever had. I really think, even down to guys like Ben Christensen, I think there's a lot of guys that Ohio State can play at that position. I do think that when we get into goal line packages and things of that nature, I think that's where we're going to really see it. Really excited to see that. Also said that outside of outside of downs, he is comfortable with 3 safeties. He mentioned McLean. He mentioned Malik. I'm assuming that, and I'm assuming that the other one would possibly have to be either the freshman, or it has to be Styles. Of course, Styles being in that nickel position, but I do think that, based off last year, he can go back there. So really excited to see what those safeties look like. And then also, he said he's comfortable with 4 linebackers. Now we all know who the top 3 are. It's Sonny Styles, it's Reese, and then it's gonna be Peyton, right? Now, who's the 4th guy? And Ryan Day didn't say, he didn't name even Peyton today, but I have to imagine that 4th guy right now is probably is probably Petty John. But at the same time, we have heard James Laurinaitis say give praises when it comes to TJ Alford also. But no, like, it shows that there's depth in a lot of the areas that a lot of fans and commentators that talk about the sport thought that Ohio State might not have. Again, at key positions like linebacker and safety, which on the defensive end, and of course, when you bring in a new defensive coordinator with Matt Patricia, you want to have guys that can play this sport. You want to have guys that can go out there and put in good minutes, right? And so I'm really excited to hear that. Again, yeah, he said there's 4 safeties he can play next to downs, and that's and I think coming from Ryan Day, and again, I don't think this is just coach speak. I don't think Ryan Day would just talk out of his arse for no reason and just say that. I really believe that there are 4 safeties that we can put out there. I'm really excited to see what that looks like. Now, when it came to questions on the offensive line, Ryan Day was really slow to answer those. And actually, I wouldn't even say slow. In fact, he didn't answer them really at all. The only thing that he did answer, which is the news that came out today, is that Austin Saarfield is officially the left tackle. I think it was last week I was talking to some people, and they say, they thought that Actually, who was it? It was someone in the chat. It might. I forgot who it was. It'll probably come back to me. But someone in the chat said that they think they're just trying to push Ethan Anianwa, and I said 10 toes down, and I said no. I think Austin's there because they want him there, and he deserved that spot. And chances are he's better than Ethan Anianwa right now. And we look back at Austin Cerebeld, and he after he won the Iron Buckeye, and actually he's gonna he got an award, a Garrison preseason Buckeye award. Like I said, we'll get to later, but really excited to see what that looks like. Of course, if you go to the next spot, we know Montgomery, no Hinsman. Now I would assume Tegra has that right guard spot, but of course, I think the biggest question right now is who's going to play right tackle. And from what it looks like, Philip Daniels has been pushing for that spot, and then you have Ethan Anianwa, who has been playing good himself, but Austin took that left tackle spot from him, so now I think it's like, okay, well, let's see what happens. Also, and I have no news on the inside news on this. I do think there's a chance that either Ethan or Philip could possibly play that right guard spot unless Tegra has completely taken it over. I'm not sure about that. Again, Ryan Day is being very close when it comes close to the chest when it comes to this offensive line. I'm not sure why. I'm really not sure why, but that's that. Before we continue, voices here from Mark at the Voice of College Football.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
All right, everybody, let's get to I have two things from our coordinators, Matt Patricia and Brian Hartline, that I want to get to. There's a theme here if you can't tell, but these are one of the position groups I've really been interested in talking about. Matt Patricia says the communication from McClain and Malik have been very good on the back end. Last week, Matt Patricia talked about how Caleb Downs has really given those guys confidence at their position, being next to him. And they said that there's really no starter when it comes next to Caleb Downs. Both those guys will play. As we talked about last week also. But really excited to hear about that because, of course, again, when you have a new coach, when you have new players, most of these guys can play the game. Most of these guys are very athletic. The question is, do you know what you're doing out there, and can you communicate that to the rest of your teammates? And so I'm really happy to hear that Malik and McClain have been doing that. Also said over there on the secondary, Matt Patricia said that you feel Jermaine wherever he is on the field. That I'm not surprised by. Again, I am not one to shy away from giving out pumping up Jermaine Matthews. I think he's going to be one of the best corners in the Big Ten and possibly in college football. I think he has been someone who is kind of like Kenyatta Jackson Jr., who has been just talent in the waiting. Top 100 players, one of the best corners to come out of his position out of high school, and so I'm not going to be surprised at all. I'm not surprised at all by this talk that he's been getting lately. Really excited to see what he looks like this year. Brian Hartline on Julian Sayin, say he's been consistent with taking care of the ball and then also letting guys go out there and make plays. That's what you want to hear. And again, and by the way, something about Brian Hartline that I just love when he talks. He doesn't seem nervous. He seems like he he seems like he deserves this job and the job that he has now at Ohio State as an offensive coordinator. And it seems like he's really, really taking a hold in that. I just love the way he talks about it. He keeps a really calm demeanor, doesn't mince words, says what he means what he says, keeps a very straight face. Really like that out of him. But more importantly, though, going out there and let his guys make plays. Again, when you have guys like Carnell Tate, Jermaine Matthews, Jeremiah Smith, Brandon Ennis, Max Clare, the stable of running backs that we have, and truth be told, the stable of tight ends that we have also. Um, I really think it's good that Sayin is able to get the ball out of his hands and let guys go make plays. Again, Sayin's not one to hold on to that ball for too long. And so I think that in this offense that we're going to run this year, which is really why I'm really excited to see what it looks like with Julian Sayin and how we use his talents. I think that it's going to be one of those teams that we're able kind of like, if you guys remember the which team I would say like the 2018 team, where Dwayne Haskins wasn't holding on to the ball for that long. He was going out there, getting rid of it, giving guys like Paris Campbell the ball, and they're going out there and making plays. And I really think that's what we're going to be able to see this year. Also, it's not to say that Julian doesn't have the ability to go throw the ball down deep. He doesn't have a rocket for an arm, but I do think it's going to be really cool seeing him get the ball out, letting guys get the ball in space, slants, screens, crossing routes, all that good stuff, right? Another thing he said on Mylan Graham, say he's continuing to grind. He said for Mylan, until he said he won't be happy until he's the best wide receiver in the room. Guy, that stuff like that, you just can't help but love. I mean, and we know what's in that wide receiver room. We know what's in there. We know Jeremiah's in there. We know Carnell's in there. We know Brandon Ennis is in there. We know Quincy Porter is in there. But when you hear guys like Mylan Graham, and mind you, let's not forget everybody, Mylan Graham was one of the best wide receivers to come out of high school with Jeremiah Smith. He was a 5-star recruit. And so I think that, when you hear that from Mylan, just continuing to grind, you got to remember, like, Mylan got to Columbus late. And he's not going to be happy until he's the best wide receiver in that room. So that means he's just somebody that wants to work. And that's all you really want from guys of his ilk, guys who are young and they're trying to make a name for themselves here in Columbus. Now, before we continue, everybody, because we do have a lot to get to here, I'm going to go ahead and do this message here from the voice of college football. Get your business, product, service, or personal brand to the next level by partnering with the Voice of College Football, and let's discuss how you also can reach your target market. The Voice of College Football is a growing network with a large following, so let's find out how we can help you grow with us. Check out the experience of one of our current partners, being Win Agency. Post a hero on your screen, and we are here to deliver for you. Contact us at sponsorships@vocfb.com. Again, that is sponsorships@vocfb.com. today. So quick news here. We're getting close to the season, so right now recruiting isn't really something that I want to focus on. I really want to focus on the team. But report from Adam Gomery from On3 on Brady Edmonds, 2027 quarterback recruit or commit actually for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Talk about Penn State, Oregon still pushing to flip him for the 2027 class, but hey, he said that Brady Edmonds is only focused on recruiting for the Buckeyes right now. So I did want to put that news out there because I'm really, really happy to hear that. Because again, for you need to make sure that the future is secure in Columbus, right? And Brady Edmonds, looks like he's gonna be the incumbent some years to come. Of course, we do have a lot of the quarterbacks right now that are still in Columbus, and so it's going to be a while till he actually plays. But I was really happy to hear that. Shout out to Brady Edmonds for going out there and going ahead and making sure that the Ohio State bloodline and the talent continues to come through there. Super chat here. Oh, man. Shout out to my guy, Justin Adams from Nebraska here at the Voice College Show, everybody. Says, y'all drop a like for my guy, GBR, man. Shout out to you, Justin. That's my guy right there, everybody. If you haven't known before, everybody, you should definitely go check out Nebraska, the Voice College Football with Justin. Justin is probably one of the funniest people to talk football with, because first off, if you give him like a like a 30-second or a minute timer, he's probably going to talk over that. If you tell him 30 seconds, he's probably going to talk for 5 minutes. If you tell him a minute, he's probably going to talk for 10 minutes. But I have never ever heard anyone like just come up with the amount of data he knows, statistics he knows. He's honestly like it's like reading a math book the way he talks about numbers. But he's definitely a great listener. Everybody, you should definitely go check him out. Also, Justin, are you going to be doing the show this year with Cliff and them on Big Ten rivalry show this year? I know I might not be able to make it for every show, but I know I'm going to be doing it this year too. So really interested to see if you do that. So but yeah, love talking to you, man. And actually, does Ohio State play Nebraska this year? Yes, maybe not. I don't know why I can't think of that right now, but yeah, everyone go check out Nebraska the Boy Scout Show. Oh man, Justin, thank you again for the 5 right there, bro. Really appreciate you. Make sure everybody you go ahead and hit that like button while you're here. Shout out to Matthew versus see you next Monday, Garrison. I'll see you then. I'll see you then. All right. Now let's continue with the show, everybody. So captains were named. And this is something I really want to talk about here. This is something that's near and dear to my heart. I think that when you play football and you get voted on by your teammates to be captains. I've done that before, and it's a great feeling to know that you have the respect of your teammates. So Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, Austin Sareveld, and Brandon Ennis named this year's captains. And I want to bring this up for you guys because there's some words that I have for these guys. Again, I'm proud of them. I'm happy for them. I think the 4 guys that were chosen, I think these were the right choices. And that's for separate reasons, which I will explain right here. So this is something I posted the other day, and right here, it says the team captains. Sonny Styles came in at 17. For all those that forgot that, Sonny Styles did come to Columbus as a 17-year-old. He was supposed to be a senior in high school when that happened. But Sonny Styles came in at 17, has done everything the right way. A guy that he talks his faith, he lives out his faith. And I think that's something to be commended on. He's worked his way from where he was as a safety, moved down a linebacker, and his first year playing linebacker became an all Big Ten player. So happy that Sonny got named there. And he's also the Black Gold recipient. So shout out to him. Well deserved. I don't think that was a shock to really anybody in Buckeye Nation. And by the way, because he's gotten the Black Gold jersey, shout out to Devin Sanchez. He's got his number 6 jersey back now. So if you bought that for number 4, guys, I'm sorry. But but shout out to Devin Sanchez too. Another guy we'll be talking about here in a little bit. Then you have Caleb Downs. Like I said, been a leader since he came to Columbus. I think that when of all the transfers that Ohio State has had, going from Justin Fields, in terms of the transfer portal, but coming from Justin Fields to now, I think that I think Justin Fields is the most impactful offensive transfer, and I think Caleb Downs is the most impactful defensive transfer. Played his freshman year over at Alabama, was a star there, started as a freshman, led the Alabama team in tackles. Nick Saban leaves, and he chose to come be a Buckeye. And I think that that shouldn't be overlooked because Caleb Downs could have gone anywhere in the country. And it's not that, Caleb Downs wasn't looked at Ohio State for when coming out of high school because we were one of his final teams. It wasn't that, anybody wouldn't want to come play football at Ohio State. At the end of the day, man, hey, listen, we are the Buckeyes. So I'm not, of course, we should never be surprised by that. But I love what Caleb Downs has been for this team. I love I love how he embraced everything that Ohio State is, everything that Columbus is, everything that the Buckeyes are. First year he comes in, he wins the national championship with us. Shout out to my guy Matthew Miller. The last play of the game for Texas wasn't 33 Jack Sawyer taking that fumbled back for a touchdown. It was Caleb Downs picking off Quentin Ewers to finish off the game. And you gotta love that. Again, one of the best players in college football. I think he's the second best player in college football behind Jeremiah. I think he's probably the best player to come in this upcoming draft. I'm not saying that he'll get picked number 1 overall as a safety, of course, but I think per position he's the best. So yeah, shout out to Caleb Downs. This is much earned. Austin Sarabel. I'm gonna spend some time on this guy. Said nobody made a bigger jump than he did from last season. Last year, I can't tell you how many times I came on, whether it be Scarlet and Blue show or came on here later in the season, and it's bad talked him. Not in a nasty way, like disparaging him, but I really didn't like what I saw out of him. I thought that he might just not have been a good player. Mind you, he was still a young player, still like an underclassman still, but I was not really impressed by Austin Sarabeld. I thought that, when I saw him play out there, I said, I literally remember saying I'd never want to see him play in Columbus again, and there has to be somebody better than him behind him. And he struggled last year. And then you come into the spring, and during the springtime, you're not with the coaches. It's your teammates and the training team, the strength team. Mick Mariotti, that's who you're with every damn day. And he goes out there and he wins he's an Iron Buckeye recipient. Big deal. Big deal. It is. Sometimes when people say big deal, they're being they're being sarcastic. Not here. It's a big deal to be named an Iron Buckeye. And so he does that, and we can in months later, maybe a couple months later, when the offensive line's still being worked out, right guard, right tackle, because Austin Sarabel's played guard before. He's played tackle before. He is interchangeable for him. And they go out on a limb and say Austin Sarabel is going to be a starter for this Ohio State team. Right? And so at that moment in time, I'm like, oh, wow, dog, this is like he's really picking up steam here. Iron Buckeye. The offensive line is still being worked out. Positions aren't really finalized outside of left guard and center. But they said for sure he's going to be a starter. Hell or high water. And then the news comes out. Last week, we hear that he's been taking reps at left tackle. So not only that, now it's known that you are the best tackle on this team. You might be the best offensive lineman on this team. And then it comes out today that he has solidified that left tackle spot. Shout out to Austin Sarabel, man. And he's an Ohio guy. Shout out to him, man. I was wrong, and I was happily wrong about you. I think that you are gonna be an awesome player this year. I am so excited for you. I'm very happy that you made that jump, man. You made the jump, and a lot of players, man, they don't stick around in this time of the transfer portal. They move to other places. They don't stay the course, but you did. And so shout out to you, man, for being the player that you are, being the consummate Buckeye that you are, and the young man you are. And speaking of staying the course, this is the one I don't think anybody expected, and this is what makes it the coolest. Brandon Ennis, I said, could have left but stayed the course. Brandon Ennis was one of the top players to come out of high school when he got to Columbus. He was the only 5-star recruit in the Big Ten that year, actually. He's renowned as one of the best players to come out of South Florida in terms of high school football. And over the last few years, Ohio State's had their players. Ohio State, we got guys like Quincy Porter. We got guys like Mylan Graham. There's guys below him that are very, very talented, even though they really play a different position than him. But he stuck it out, man, and he didn't have to. Brandon Ennis could have gone anywhere in the country over the last couple of years, and also, I'm pretty sure I heard Brian Hartline say this, but this is the first time a non-starter, like a non-previous starter, has ever been named a captain for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And I think people forget that Brandon Ennis has never he hasn't started Ohio State yet. And so, for him to do that, and to bust his ass throughout the off season, and for you to be to be voted on by your coaches, unanimously voted on by your coaches and your teammates, that's awesome, man. And Bi, man, again, another guy I'm very proud of. I can't wait to see what you look like this year. I think Brandon Ennis is in for a season. I think he's in for a season, and I think that a lot of people have slept on him. I know some of my guys have said that I've been one that slept on him. All right, hey, good point, Jam. Cam Bab. That because Brian Hartline did say that. He said outside of Cam Bab. You're right about that. Thank you for bringing that up. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what he looks like this season. I think that I think Brandon Ennis is. I would not be shocked if Brandon Ennis got somewhere between up near 600 to 700 yards. I think it's gonna be the ball's gonna go around a lot of places this season, but it wouldn't shock me at all. So again, guys, those are the 4 captains of this year. Again, Sonny Styles, who was unanimously picked by the coaches and teammates, Caleb Downs, Austin Saraveld, and Brandon Ennis, and also Blocko recipient Sonny Styles, which also means the Blocko stays in the linebacker room for another year, which is I think for James Laurinaitis, I think he takes pride in that. I think that makes him very happy to know that his guys, him being a Buckeye player and a Buckeye legend, I think he's one of the top linebackers that have come through Ohio State. For him to see that also. Let's get some of the chat here. Kevin Chavez says, "Let's go Captains for sure, bro. For sure." I think that's a good group of 4 right there. And honestly, I'm pretty sure there's other guys who maybe deserved it, but I do think those 4 right there. I as I stated in my post here, I think those are the 4 reasons why I'm really excited why those guys are the captains. I think that they very much so deserved that. See, Doreen, she says, "Green Rod, Ennis, let's go." Yeah, I think a lot of people are excited for Ennis. I think a lot of people are, and again, I think it's because it was not. I don't think anyone expected to see Brandon Ennis become a captain this season, but I think we all do have a lot of love for Brandon Ennis, a lot of respect for him as a player and a young man. Yeah, now right here, doing this show this real quick. Some sad news here because this report today that this comes from D-Rock Irish. Thank you for dropping in here today. This is from On 3 Michigan 5-star true freshman offensive tackle Andrew Babaloa is feared to have suffered. Well, it is not fear he has sadly suffered a season-ending knee injury per CBS Sports. Yeah, that's sad news, man. Again, you don't ever want to see that. Especially for a young guy as talented as he is. I think I could be wrong here, but Andrew Babaloa's only been playing football for a couple years, actually. 2 years, I think. I think he was in there too deep, which in a football sense of the question. I think there's a question now that the Wolverines have to answer for when it comes to the depth of that tackle spot, especially with Evan Link being their left tackle. But listen, for anybody, I did see some Buckeye fans talk a little nasty about this. There's no room for that. Andrew Babaloa, man, we hope you get healthy soon, man. We pray nothing but the best for you, and I hope this is you come back from them strong. You come back from this stronger than ever, bro. Really hope that. Really pray for that. Yeah, so that's that. Kevin Chavez says, "Let's go, Sand." Yeah, bro. And Kevin, let me know. What I asked this question earlier for everybody. If you're just dropping in, Don B, I see you, my boy. Good to see you, my guy. What are your expectations for Julian Sand this season? Whether it be in stats, what you want to see from him just as in performance wise, or is it what Ryan Day said, just win, baby, win? What is it? Yeah, Kevin saw that. Jam Miller. Not to be confused with our own Jam here at the House of the Boys College Football, but he got injured, man. You hate to see that, and honestly, it sucks for Alabama because you lost your running back after you played the Wolverines last season. Now he's going to be one of the running backs that playing for in Ann Arbor this year. So yeah, again, I also Texas Tech running back got injured. I forget. I don't know why he transferred from USC last season. Can't think of his name right now, but yeah, it looks like there's a injury bug going around right now, and I think we should all just hope and pray it doesn't hit Ohio State right now. I guess you look intelligent as fuck. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. These are actually my blue light glasses. I look at screens a lot, even do my job, and so I try to look after you look at screens for too much, man, it gets kind of I don't want my eyes to get fuzzy. And I also love these glasses because it also they enlarge what I see. So right now, like my laptop screen looks bigger, my monitor looks bigger than it would normal, right? So yeah, appreciate that though. I think I'm pretty intelligent here and there. I have my moments. But now everybody, we're gonna again, if you haven't already, please be sure to hit that like button, everybody. And we're gonna move on here to my preseason Buckeye awards. Quentin Joyner, thank you, Richie. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yeah, and Quentin Joyner's a really good running back, man. And that's why it's tough to see. Also, because I did have Texas Tech as one of my dark horse teams this year to make the playoffs. So we'll see what that looks like now. I was going to be one of their better players this year. Texas Tech, of course, doesn't have the depth that other teams have. Even like the depth of Clemson has. And Clemson doesn't have all that much depth, right? At least deep talent depth. But I do think that was a player they're going to need. So that's probably going to hurt them this year. I do know sometimes people, when they talk about injuries, they just want to hear the fuzzy stuff. But at the end of the day, we do also need to talk about the effect of what it does on the football field, because at the end of the day, this is football and injuries do happen. But you can still hope the best for these young men and hope they get better. But let's get to the my preseason Buckeye awards. And again, everybody, if you haven't already, please hit that like button. And now let's continue. So these are the awards I have for everybody, okay? It's the Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Most Improved, Freshman of the Year, Offensive Lineman of the Year, Defensive Lineman of the Year, Position Group of the Year, and Coach of the Year. Now, if you disagree with me, let it go in the chat. If you see this later, let it go in the comments. But these are my awards. If you think different, that's okay. But I think I'm pretty much dead on these. So let's get started here. Offensive Player of the Year, none other than Jeremiah Smith. And yes, Rod, you are right. I keep forgetting his name. Yeah, I think Jeremiah is due for a big year. Really excited to see, of course, what he does this season. I think that he's going to, again, continue to be the best player in college football as he was last year. My boy Johnny, see you later, man. What's going on? What would you say? Assume the position, Buckeyes. Y'all know what time it is. No. We'll get there. Listen, Johnny, don't get ahead of the show. I will let you know who the position group of the year will be when we get there. But but yeah, so Jeremiah Smith, I think, is in for a big season. I think that we're looking somewhere around 14. I would say 1,400 receiving yards. I think that he's gonna move more around the field. I think we're gonna see him more in the slot this season. Also, I think that if you look back at when JSN had the injury that year, Ryan Day said that a third of the playbook was meant for JSN. I think we're looking for the same thing this season with Jeremiah, and I think that we're going to get the ball to him a lot this season. So, yes, Offensive Player of the Year, Jeremiah Smith. Now, Defensive Player of the Year, bold pick. Oh, man. Nope. I got Caleb Downs, man. I got Caleb Downs. And Rod says Sonny. And honestly, Rod, I'll be honest with you. When I went through this, I actually typed Sonny's name down first, but then I went with Caleb, and the reason is because I think Matt Patricia talked about him playing closer to the line of scrimmage this year, playing at the nickel. I think just like Jeremiah, he's gonna be moving around the field a lot more. I think that Caleb Downs is going to impact the game more. I think we're going to see him on blitzes more this season, coming from that nickel spot. We saw not Malik Harford, but oh my God, no, who am I thinking of? I blanked. Whatever. But I do think we're going to see him on blitz a little more this year. We're going to see him in the back, of course, at free safety, strong safety, moving toward. Again, I think Caleb Downs is going to be the most. Jeremiah Smith might be the best player in college. He is the best player in college football. I think Caleb Downs is going to be the most impactful, and that's because of everything that he can do on the defensive end, everything that he does when it comes to being the quarterback for Matt Patricia on the field, as Sonny Styles is going to be also. But I really, really believe that Caleb Downs is also the smartest player in college football. So, yeah, that's what I have. Again, so Offensive Player of the Year, Jeremiah Smith. Defensive Player of the Year, Caleb Downs. Now, I'm going to put this out there. I want to see what everybody thinks. Who do you think I have as most improved player this season? I really want to know what you guys think on this, because there was a lot of guys I thought we could pick from, but this one was actually very easy for me to answer. So I'll give some time for you all to go ahead and pick that. Until then, I'll go through some of these chats real quick. It said bold pick ride. That's funny. Ross says, I think you'll see more teams try to avoid Caleb this year, along with Caleb being in the slot at times. And that's a fair point, Rod. But that's fair. That's fair. But I also do think that's also why he's going to be able to impact the game more. You won't know what coverage he's in at all times. You won't know if he's in cover 2 or man. You won't know if he's going to be slided at safety or at the nickel. You don't know what Caleb Downs is going to be doing. But that is a fair point. I also think there's a chance that, by the way that Sonny blitzes, of course, second in sacks last season, he's a returning sack leader for the Ohio State Buckeyes this year. There's a fair point to be made for Sonny in this. I do agree with you on that. Rich says, I don't think our defense is bad enough to have any Heisman winners. Hey, Richie, you're not wrong. You're not wrong about that. That's funny, man. That's actually hilarious, but that's real talk. See, Kevin Chevy says that would be crazy. A true sophomore wide receiver win the Heisman. Dude, that would, if that happened, I will come on here and tell you that Jeremiah Smith is the greatest college football player of all time. That's literally what I would do. Since Caleb being in the slot will cost some tackles, in my opinion. Yeah, but he might get more interceptions because he's on wide receivers more. You get in that slot, you move around in that cover 2 area, that cover 3 area. Who knows? But yes, him in the slot though, like that would cost him. That would. Let's see. So Daniel says Kenyatta. And by the way, we're on most improved player of the year. Daniel Henry. First of all, what's going on, Daniel? Good to see you here, buddy. Says Kenyatta Jackson. Nope. Jam says Ennis or Sayin. Nope. Daniel Henry says Richie will be the most improved buck hunter. Oh man. Let's see. IGB, nope. Saravel, nope. Jermaine, no. Everybody, most improved Buckeye I have this year is Will Smith Jr. Will Smith looks like as of right now he is slotted in the 2 deep. And I think that coming out of high school he was an undersized defensive tackle. But hold on, real quick, I just bruised over day one like that. Day one, what's going on, man? Good to see you. But no, I think that coming out of high school he was an undersized defensive lineman, defensive tackle specifically. He actually was a defensive end at first, but then moved to defensive tackle. He's put on the weight. He's put in the size. From all intents and purposes, I mean, again, Luke Montgomery said that he had a really good spring, and then when you hear that from the team and from the players, and then coming into the fall, you have the players and the coaches now saying that he's been having a good fall, and now that he's made that jump into the 2 deep, whereas when Kaden McDonald and Edric Houston are not in the field, they're saying the next guy is going to be Will Smith, not Tom Malone, not Jason Moore, Will Smith Jr., son of the late great Will Smith, national champion in 2002, and a Super Bowl champ for the Saints. But Yeah, I think that we could expect a good year from Will Smith this year. I think that based on what he was coming out of high school, what he's been for the last few seasons at Ohio State, trying to work and become a really good player, I think that he's going to be the next guy up, or not next guy, but I think he's going to be the most improved guy. And I really look forward to seeing that. And also, and maybe I'm just pulling on my heartstrings about this, but let's be honest here. What would be cooler than seeing Will Smith's son, just be a guy for the Ohio State Buckeyes? I think that would be such a great story, and I would really enjoy to see that. I think everybody else would also. Okay, so again, most improved player this year, Will Smith Jr. Now, freshman of the year. I don't think anyone's gonna have a. I think we all know who we're gonna pick on here, and that's gonna be Devin Sanchez. I think Devin's gonna be uh, one of those freshmen that are going to be impossible to keep off of the field. I think that he's going to be a freshman All-American this season. I think that at some point he will be a starter for the Ohio State Buckeyes, one way or the other. I do think they are going to rotate the DBs this year in corners, but I really believe that he's going to be a guy that's going to be on the field a lot. I think he's going to make a lot of plays this season, and I truly, truly, truly look forward to seeing him play. Next, offensive lineman of the year. I have Luke Montgomery. Luke Montgomery is one of the guys that I believe could possibly be an All-American this year. I think that, by the way, another Ohio guy, but Luke Montgomery, when you look at what he did in the back half of that season for the Ohio State Buckeyes last year, specifically in the playoffs when you go against Tennessee's defensive line, uh, Oregon's defensive line, and Texas defensive line, which were arguably three of the best D lines in college football. Top 10 specifically. Yeah, exactly. 419, baby, right there from Jam. And I think Luke, when you see him do that, by the way, Luke's a monster, man. He's a big man. And when you see what he's been able to do over the spring, going into the fall, the way the teammates talk about him, man, I really believe that he is going to have a big season. I think that he's going to put a lot of guys on their ass. I think he's going to put a lot of guys on their ass. And that's why I really can't wait to play Texas. Because, again, all those checks that guys like my boy Matthew Miller keep writing, and they got to hope they cash. I can't wait to see what your D-line does against our O-line, especially the defensive tackles that you guys have. All those run tackles you have out of the portal, you guys have to hope that they are what you want, that they are what you hope they are. Whereas for me and the rest of my fan base, we know what we have in the interior. So, yeah, again, I can't wait to see what it looks like. Again, offensive lineman of the year for my preseason Buckeye Awards, Luke Montgomery. Defensive lineman of the year, I have Edric Houston. Now, it was tough to pick because of I think Kenyatta is going to be an extreme guy this season. I can't. I could have easily picked Kenyatta for this. Okay, I could have easily done that, but when I look at the depth questions that we have as a defensive tackle, and I look at Edric Houston being a true freshman last season, and jumping everybody else in the defensive tackle room to be the first guy off the bench for our defensive tackles, and being able to start 2 or 3 games it was last year as a true freshman, I think that Edric Houston's gonna be a complete disruptor. Again, he's not a 300-pound guy, about 285 pounds, but long arms, which is a terrible mismatch for offensive guards. And I think that he's going to be able to deflect a lot of balls this season. I think you should look for him to get to the quarterback a lot and disrupt them. And also the cool part about Edric Houston and Katie McDonald is that if you are able to get quarterback pressure from the middle, that makes the job a lot easier for your defensive ends. And quarterbacks will tell you all day long they rather get rushed from the edge than up the middle, right? Well, that's in their face. So, yeah, Edric Houston, we look forward to see what he does this season. Edric Houston, my preseason defensive lineman of the year. Now, Position group of the year. Now Johnny, of course, thought that it was going to be clearly Johnny thought I was going to say wide receivers, but no. Um, offensive offensive line is who I picked this year for this season as a position group of the year. I think this offensive line has a chance to win the Joe Moore Award. Again, the Joe Moore Award is a relatively new award, so Ohio State has not won it yet. But I do think that offensive line is going to be really great this year. I think there's a chance that this is Ryan Day's best offensive line that he's had. He's already said this is the deepest offensive line that he's had while being at Ohio State. Said that he said today actually there's 5 guys, like he said, I'm confident in the 5 that we have that are interchangeable positions. And then he said there's 3 guys behind them that I know can go play just if need be. And so I'm really excited to see what this offensive line looks like this year. I think we're going to run through teams. And I think, and you know, here I'll just tell you who the coach of the year I have right now, okay? Because I think these two go together. Coach of the year, I have Tyler Bowen, offensive line coach. Came in this year from Penn State, one of the better run game coordinators in college football. And I think that, you know, with everybody, you know, having some doubts about the Ohio State running back room, which I don't understand, because I would love for somebody to point out the last time Ohio State had a questionable running back room. But I think that with the talent that this offensive line has, with the depth that it has, and then when you look at Tyler Bowen being the coach that he is and being able to scheme up the run game, I think, man, that this offensive line is going to run through teams. And I think Tyler Bowen's also going to scheme around them to where they put them in the best positions. And then also, because I don't think Julian Sanders is going to get touched much this year, A, because of the offensive line just being really great, B, because he gets the ball out fast. I think that our running backs are going to average at least 5 yards per carry at the bottom. I actually have James Peoples averaging somewhere around the 6.3 range. I think that's just me. That's my hot take of the year for the team. But that James Peoples averages well over 6 yards a carry. But yeah, I can't wait, man. I can't wait to see what this offensive line looks like. I can't wait to see what Tyler Bowen does with this room. Yeah, I see right here, Antonios. Yeah, Antonios. Says offensive line gonna need to show up that last game, no doubt, for sure. And listen, man, that goes without saying, guys. I mean, look, I don't think what's known doesn't have to be said. But at the end of the day, there are 11 other games that they still got to show up for first. And so, yeah, I really can't wait to see what this offensive line looks like. Wait. What day one? Please don't be 5-4 coming into the game this November. Wait, what do you mean 5-4? Oh, 5-4. Oh man. Hey Johnny, look, man. Listen, I know you don't like to hear this, but at the end of the day, yeah, you won. Yes, you guys won that game. Your team was still ass. They were ass. Like I saw somebody the other day said Michigan bows to no one in college football. That's not true. You bow to Washington, you damn sure bow to Indiana. Hey, fun fact, everybody: Indiana has beaten Michigan twice since 2020. True story. Twice. But yeah, I'm gonna be honest, Johnny. I could never imagine losing to Indiana twice in 5 years. That is terrible. That is terrible. But no, that's that. So yeah, again, everybody, the preseason Buckeye Awards from Garrison. Offensive Player of the Year, Jeremiah Smith. Defensive Player of the Year, Caleb Downs. Most Improved, Will Smith Jr. Freshman of the Year, Devin Sanchez. Offensive Lineman of the Year, Luke Montgomery. Defensive Lineman of the Year, Edric Houston. Position Group of the Year, Offensive Line. And Coach of the Year, Tyler Bowen. Well, everybody, thank you all again for coming to today's show here at Ohio State Primetime at the Voice of College Football. Please be sure again to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you would like to become a member, there on the bottom of the screen are our tiers there that you can join us at. Also, if you haven't already, please go ahead and check out the website. You can check out all the channels that we have here at the Voice of College Football and the great writers that we have. They post there every day. If you want to get some content, also we post every day on Instagram and on our X account, which is right there below me. Boom, there it is. Go ahead and follow us on X right there. And as always, OH, IO.